after receiving surprising news from my mother that my long-lost sister had returned after eloping years ago. My son and I went back home, and sure enough, there were women's shoes there. Moreover, my sister Jenny Ford came out in her underwear. She laughed loudly and triumphantly said to me, "I've snagged a luxury high-rise condo and a wealthy husband. Poor people should just keep working part-time jobs." But then a voice came from behind her. "Too bad, Jenny. Sleeping pills don't work on me anymore." It was my husband Wayne, who came out nonchalantly and said, "This woman was trying to create a fait accompli with me." He started laughing. "What would that even accomplish? The house belongs to Emma, you know?" "Yes, the high-rise condo we live in is my property, which I acquired through inheritance from my previous husband. My name is Emma Stone. I'm a 34-year-old who works for an organization dedicated to preserving American classical culture. My husband Wayne is a former junior of mine at graduate school, where he too studied American classics. He is currently enrolled in a doctoral program, continuing his research to finish his dissertation and earn his PhD. Since he has a flexible schedule, he helps by picking up our son Rick from school and taking him to various activities during the day. That's not all. Wayne is also much better at household chores than I am. He may not cook elaborate meals, but he's efficient in the kitchen. He keeps everything clean with minimal effort everywhere except his study space. He also handles the laundry more delicately and meticulously than I do. I'll bring in the money. Can you to handle the household chores?" That was more or less how I proposed to him. Honestly, I fell for him because of those qualities. I'm incredibly busy, and I can't manage everything on my own. I told him to continue his research without worrying about our livelihood. His parents were initially shocked. They even accused me of treating their son like a gigolo. However, after many discussions about our feelings, lifestyle adjustments, and our son, we got married, and he became a house husband. Although it's an unusual arrangement, we have been getting along happily. But one day, something unexpected happened. It was a Tuesday afternoon. That day, while I was overwhelmed with work and Wayne was preoccupied with his dissertation, I was about to leave my office to pick up Rick when suddenly the phone rang. "Hello? Mom, what's up?" The call was from my mother, who lives in a rural area about 5 to 6 hours away by car. Since getting married, I only visit during holidays. So we usually keep in touch via messaging apps, but it's rare for her to call directly. Both of my parents, considering how busy I am, usually schedule their calls. "This is serious, Emma. What's going on, all of a sudden?" "Jenny's back." "Jenny?" "Jenny is my younger sister, 2 years younger than me, whom I haven't seen in over a decade since she left home at 18. Apparently, her husband's company went bankrupt." "Bankrupt?" "Yes." She suddenly appeared by banging on the door, and apparently, her husband ran off after racking up a huge debt. To avoid debt collectors coming after her, she just found someone to sign his name and submitted the divorce papers. I gasped unintentionally. "So, what now?" She had the audacity to show up at our place and even left her daughter with us. "What? She just left her there?" "Yes." I asked about the girl's age because she seemed so small, and I was really surprised. "What surprised you?" "I thought she was still in kindergarten when she brought her. But she's just 1 year younger than Rick." "What?" "Rick is 9 years old, so she should be in the 2nd grade of elementary school. Yet she looks like a kindergarten student." "Mom, is she really that small?" "Yes, she's very skinny, her skin is dry, and chapped skin. I just gave her some snacks and put her in the bath, and she seems very uncomfortable. While talking, my mother's voice seemed like she was holding back tears, as if she would break down any moment. But I had to ask one more thing. Mom, you didn't turn her away, did you? What are you saying? Of course not. No matter how bad Jenny is, this child is our granddaughter. Oh, and her clothes are all worn out. That's good. So, Mom, where did Jenny go after leaving the child? That was something I needed to find out. She's headed to your place, Emma. Why my place? Before she came here, she seems to have visited an old acquaintance to talk. And it seems she was told that you married a wealthy man. I instinctively placed my hand on my forehead. Whoever it is, I'm in trouble if they just share stories that are not true. Did that person give out my address? No, but she did get your work-related social media. Work-related, that can't be helped. For my job, I have to aim for some promotional effects through social media. So, your father is rushing to your house right now. Dad is? So please keep things under control until he arrives. Wait, Mom, when exactly did Jenny leave there? Before I could get an answer, the call ended. It's just past 3 p.m. Rick needs to be picked up from school, taken to his lessons. And then I need to do some shopping while waiting for him to finish. Wayne has been so absorbed since yesterday that he won't be able to cook today or all day tomorrow. So, shopping is absolutely necessary. And even if he does finish writing, he'll probably go straight to sleep without eating. Usually, after staying up for 3 days, he sleeps for a day and a half. It seems it will be past 6 p.m. by the time I finish shopping for 3 days. I'm worried, but what will happen? Huh? You have a sister? Yes, I do. I see. In the car, after finishing the shopping, I decided to briefly explain the situation to Rick. Surprised? No, not really. I mean, with our family, there's always something going on. Rick, at 9 years old and in the 3rd grade, is quite sharp and a bit mature for his age. Our family is a bit unconventional, but he quickly understands things when explained. He must take after his father. When I was a child, I was simply fighting loudly with my sister. Compared to that, Rick is quiet and thoughtful. It's a bit worrying. Well, yes. There are always various things. Like what? Where should I start? There are parts of the story that are suitable for a child and parts that are not. You know the house where Mom and you used to live, right?
Yeah.
It's near Grandma and Grandpa's house. My sister didn't like being in that town. And ran away with someone she loved over a decade ago. Wow, that's kind of amazing. Hey. Yes, Jenny ran away at 18 with the nearly 40-year-old CEO of a startup. But it wasn't a romance. Jenny had been engaged in compensated dating, starting in high school. Our family never deprived us of anything. My parents had savings to send us to the schools of our choice. And gave us enough pocket money each month. But it seems that wasn't enough for Jenny. She went to a private university in the city, but at the end of her first year's first semester, there was a call from the academic affairs office. Turns out, Jenny was pregnant at that time. When our furious father demanded to know who the partner was, Jenny readily confessed his name. That was the person she had just divorced without consent. And after the parents, angry at both the compensated dating and the partner, told Jenny to leave, she just left and cut off all contact. If it had been just leaving, maybe we could have traced her through her health insurance. But she married him, getting on his insurance, which made it impossible to track her. Once the anger settled, it turned into concern. Not hearing anything at all seemed almost rude. And there were several reasons for my parents' anger. After all, the neighbors and coworkers gossiped, making my parents feel uncomfortable. They were shamed for raising a daughter who would do such things. My father was even considered a leading candidate for a managerial position. But this scandal set him back. I hated recalling these discussions, but something my mother mentioned earlier was bothering me. This child is 8 years old. That means she's not the child Jenny was pregnant with all those years ago. What happened to that child? That's something I can't help but wonder about. Mom, you look scared. Rick's words made me apologize. Sorry. Is something bothering you? Yes, I'm thinking about your cousin. Eventually, we managed to carry our heavy shopping bags back to the condo. But it was too much to handle. So when I went to borrow a cart from the concierge at the entrance, Miss Stone, your sister Miss Ford was here earlier. The concierge informed us. Did you let her in? I checked and copied her ID, and I covered my eyes with my palm again, exasperated. I'm sorry, it's my bad I didn't let you know. So, I shouldn't have let her in? No, but it's fine, it's my fault. Also, has my father arrived yet? Your father? Just a moment, please, the concierge said, going back to check. He has not arrived yet. I see. When my father does arrive, please let him through immediately. Understood. I showed the concierge a photo of my father, emphasizing that he must be let in without fail. Then, we loaded our bags onto the cart and took the elevator to the top floor. We're home. As I opened the door, sure enough, there were women's shoes. Ah. You're back early. The person who emerged was my sister, more flamboyant than I remembered. But appropriately aged. However, the issue was not her appearance. What are you wearing? Jenny had emerged in her underwear. Rick, who had been helping push the cart, stood there wide-eyed, speechless. What do you mean? Then she laughed loudly and triumphantly said to me, I've snagged your luxury high-rise condo and your wealthy husband. Poor people like you should just keep working part-time jobs. Rick and I were stunned. But then a voice came from behind. Too bad for you. Sleeping pills don't work on me anymore. Wayne appeared behind Jenny, wearing only a shirt over his bare skin. His disheveled appearance, as he scratched his head, might have suggested something scandalous had happened. But I had no such thoughts. It was impossible for him. I had that confidence. Ah. This is why people like you shouldn't use that stuff carelessly. It completely broke my focus. Shoot. Wait, what? You knew about the sleeping pills? I felt strangely sleepy, so I figured I'd been drugged. But that doesn't mean I can just fall asleep. That's strange. Ignoring Jenny, Wayne turned to Rick. Oh, Rick, you went shopping? Thanks. Yeah. Dad, help me put these away. Saying this, Rick pushed the cart inside. Okay, Wayne said, and they went to the kitchen together. As they moved things, Wayne complained loudly and deliberately. I knew Emma had a sister, so I figured something might be up. But to be drugged right off the bat? Anyway, I hardly sleep because I have so much to think about. I can tell the difference between natural sleepiness and drug-induced sleepiness. Jenny's expression turned even more severe. I thought you might be up to something, so I just played along and pretended to sleep. What's she doing, this person? Wayne spoke calmly, methodically. Facing him, Jenny, who had seemed so confident before, was stunned. Clearly not understanding what had happened. What's with this guy? Well, she picked the wrong opponent. What's with you? That's what I want to know. You're dressed like that. Did you strip his clothes too, trying to create a fait accompli? I sighed deeply.
Ah,
She's always been foolish. But given how things turned out, I could guess what had happened. First, Jenny knew I lived in a high-rise condo in the capital region and had come here. Then she gathered information locally, saying she was the sister of someone living on the top floor of this high-rise condo. She found out that Wayne was a house husband while I was doing work. She must have guessed that Wayne would be home alone and targeted him while I was out. From Wayne's perspective, probably after repeatedly ignoring the doorbell, he answered it to find a woman claiming to be my sister, while his head was still half in his research. From Jenny's perspective, a seemingly disheveled man in almost pajamas appeared. Probably her thought was, he's young, isn't he? My sister has snagged a younger, high-rise condo-owning intellectual? That's unfair. I'll steal him. Then, for some reason, she had sleeping pills with her, tried to drug him, stripped Wayne, and pushed him into bed, planning to show me a suggestive scene. But Jenny didn't know Wayne. He's usually so absorbed in his research and writing that he loses track of time and doesn't even eat. I knew better than anyone that such a scheme would be pointless on him. She tried to create a fait accompli with me? Then Wayne's voice grew louder, and he burst into laughter. What would that even accomplish? The house belongs entirely to Saori.
yeah.
What's this old lady talking about? Hey, that's rude. Who's this kid? Well, he can rightfully call you aunt. He's my son, after all. Your son. He's quite big for that, isn't he? You're still in your 20s, right? Well, he's from my previous marriage. Wait, remarried? So you married a rich guy after all. You wouldn't know since you've been away for so long. As I said this, I finally managed to enter my home. I took off my coat, hung it up, and set down my bag. And Wayne made coffee for me as a way to say well done. Glancing around, I noticed a half-open bag carelessly placed on the living room table. The rest of the room was tidy except for that bag, which gave off a strangely messy vibe. It was irritating. I wanted to clean it up right away. What, you're not going to even offer me a cup of coffee? She looked at me resentfully as I enjoyed my coffee. I don't feel like offering anything to someone who just drugged me. More importantly, how long do you plan to stay in that outfit? I don't want a woman parading around in her underwear in my home. First, explain. Why do you own this high-rise condo? Why can't my sister ever keep up with a conversation? Well, it's no use, she wouldn't understand without an explanation. Look, when my previous husband died, he left us a lot of wealth. And I bought this place with that. Paid in full, not mortgaged. Paid in full by you? But this place must be worth millions. Well, it's only small part of the real estate I currently own. Jenny was at a loss for words. Yes, I fully own the top floor of this high-rise condo. And not only that. I now own numerous properties, with a total asset value of $200 million. I live a wealthy life managing my passive income. And I also serve as a consultant for an organization involved in preserving Japan's classical culture. Half for tax purposes, and the other half for Wayne's sake. My so-called busy workday involves serving as a board member of this organization. And occasionally, I receive reports related to land. When I explained that, all this to you, Emma? Yes, to me. You probably don't know I got married right after college, nor why it happened. What are you talking about? Because of the mess you created. Dad's reputation at his company plummeted, and we went through a lot. What does it matter what a grown daughter does? You weren't an adult then. Remember? You were still in high school and already involved in compensated dating. Mom was embarrassed for a while because it showed she couldn't even raise a daughter properly. Just then, a marriage proposal came for me. From the Anderson family. The Anderson family? Yes, the local lords from our hometown. What? You married into that distinguished family? I sighed deeply. Wayne then said, "Let's go play for a bit," and moved Rick away from the conversation. Rick, being a smart kid, seemed to understand it was an adult conversation. So what, you married into that family? Yes, but not the person you're thinking of. I married the next head of the family, the older brother. Huh? That bedridden leech everyone said was a burden to the Anderson family? Yes, him. Indeed, my former husband was described that way. He was frail from birth, rarely went to school, and always needed a doctor nearby. Thus, he was indeed seen as a burden to that prestigious family, but that was only an external view. His parents and his younger brother, the heir, did not think of him that way. Everyone loved him, a man without desires, simply for who he was. He happened to fall for me when he saw me at the hospital during one of my visits home. The lords of Anderson went out of their way to come to our house to ask for my hand. It was the only thing their son had ever asked for. So they even pleaded to me, to a woman much younger. I married at 22 to help make my parents' life easier to live. My former husband passed away while Rick was still in my womb. Even the pregnancy was through artificial insemination. Because he didn't have the strength for natural conception. It was a wish of my kind in-laws, and I agreed for my gentle former husband's sake. He was able to watch my belly grow but passed away, leaving only his name for the child, without seeing his face. As a young widow, his parents thanked me and left his inheritance as per his will. However, some relatives targeted the large inheritance left to an outsider like me. So I moved into a secure high-rise condo in the city center when Rick started kindergarten. I further explained, and Jenny flapped her hands and shook her head, shouting, "No way, no way. How can you believe such a fairy tale? That's what you say. So what about him now? You got such a big inheritance and still got remarried." I was allowed to. Well, I didn't need permission, but I consulted them because I felt bad. They were really good in-laws. But they told me they were sorry I spent the best years of my youth caring for an ill person. And going through an artificial pregnancy. That much inheritance should be enough. Time and life can't be bought with money, they said. My kind in-laws, who had lost their beloved son to illness, understood the value of these two things well, more so because they were wealthy. Later, I moved to the city center, which was different from the life with my in-laws. And I was exhausted from single-handedly raising a child. That's when I reconnected with Wayne, a junior from college who had admired me. He became a great help to me, overwhelmed as I was. By meeting him several times, Rick gradually grew attached to him. I thought it would be nice if he could stay with me, so I proposed. My in-laws described Wayne as a harmless person who seems uninterested in anything but his studies. Moreover, their support, rather than opposition, may have been to counter the relatives who were pressuring me to remarry by sending suitable partners. So, you're the only one who gets to be happy. Her sentence was cut short by the ringtone of a smartphone. Given the time, it must be yes. I switched the phone to speaker mode after answering the call. "Hello, Emma. I hadn't heard back from you, are you all right?" Jenny groaned at the sound of her voice. "Oh, Mom, I'm fine." "Good. By the way, I just heard a noise like someone squashing a frog. Could Jenny be there with you?" "Yes, she is." I looked at Jenny with a broad smile. "Mom? Why do you know I'm here? You always forget what you've said after 3 steps." You were the one who said you were going to your sister's. That's so unfair. Why do I get treated differently even though I'm also your daughter? Jenny yelled into the phone. Huh? Are you in any position to talk? After you left, the hell that Emma went through until she married into the Anderson family. It wasn't exactly ostracism, but with your father holding a good position at his company? The rumors were terrible. It all ended within 2 years thanks to Emma. The Anderson family intervened extensively, which helped our neighbors, relatives, and your father's company factions who admired him. You were about to ruin all the hard work your father had done in the most important company in our city. That's your problem. I never asked him to succeed. Yet it's thanks to him that we could attend a private university in the city center.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't give you the right to hold it over me. Well, maybe that's true, but, Jenny, what about the child you had in your belly back then? Mother's voice turned chilling as she questioned Jenny. You had a child and ran off with your partner, didn't you? What happened to that child? He took the child with him. I've been in touch with him. Jenny groaned. Using the Anderson connection, I tracked down your whereabouts and got his mobile number. Mother continued relentlessly. He said he was sorry for running away and was grateful for the divorce. His money-making skills might have been mediocre, but he seems to be a better person than you. He couldn't give me his location, but he said he's working far away to repay his debts. Alone? Alone? I asked my mother. Yes, alone. You can imagine what that means, right? Mother had mentioned the terrible state of the child Jenny brought with her. I quickly turned towards Jenny. You left your child. Stop. Why are you looking at me like that? Mom told me. The daughter you left was terribly thin, wasn't she? It's been tough recently. Someone going through tough times doesn't carry around that kind of bag. I pointed at the designer bag carelessly tossed onto the living room table. That's clearly a designer brand, isn't it? I bought it 2 or 3 years ago. Mom said your daughter looks like a kindergartner. Yet she's only a year younger than Rick. That's right. Mother's voice grew even colder. Her name is Amy, right? Has she been attending kindergarten or school properly? She seems a bit delayed in her speech. Of course she has. Grandma, is my mom there? A frail voice came from the other side. Yes, Amy. Do you want to talk to your mom? No. I definitely don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to my mom's place. Amy, Jenny's daughter, started crying on the other end. I don't want to be like my sister. I see. There seemed to be a horrifying truth behind these words. We've been talking a bit. It seems there was an older sister, wasn't there? The use of the past tense implied much. I don't know anything about that. As Jenny started to move hastily to grab her bag and clothes. You can't just leave like that. Wayne grabbed her hand, and Rick secured the bag and clothes. Then they turned towards another smartphone. Hello, Grandpa, now's the time. At his cue, the front door opened. Police. We received a report of a woman accused of trespassing, assault, and child abuse. We're here to take her into custody. Emma, you did well to keep her here until we arrived. Dad. Several police officers entered and immediately detained Jenny. Are you all right, Ms. Stone? Yes, I'm fine. The concierge, who had been standing by the entrance, had opened the door for them. Long time no see, Jenny. Dad. One of the police officers took the clothes and bag that Rick had handed over. There was no time to dress her, so they wrapped her in a blanket they had brought. Wayne pointed to the bag, I haven't checked inside, but I suspect it contains sleeping pills. I'll accompany you to the station for a blood test. My body doesn't react strongly to drugs, but they should still be traceable in my system. Thank you for your cooperation. The police acknowledged his cooperation. Over the phone, my mother asked me to switch to camera mode. Then, in the arms of my mother appeared a little girl. Officers, this little girl seems to have suffered terribly at the hands of her mother, who has already caused the death of another small life. Our first grandchild. Amy was wearing clothes that Rick had outgrown. They were from a time when he was about to enter kindergarten, quite large for his age then. The clothes, though slightly small, seemed to fit her. Her slender wrists peeked out from the sleeves. Ah. Those are my old clothes. Hello, are you Amy? Rick gently spoke to his cousin through the screen. Such kindness must be inherited from his real father. Yeah. Who are you? I'm Rick, your cousin. I'm a year older than you, so I guess I'm like your big brother. Big brother. As she spoke, perhaps reminded of her lost older sibling, Amy began to sob. You should come and play sometime. Amy nodded weakly on the screen. Well then, Emma, we'll take her away now. Don't want to intrude any longer. Rick, we'll play chess later. Okay, I'll be waiting. Immediately after our exchange. What is this? You all get your happy family drama. What about me? I've lost everything. Hearing this, I walked up to Jenny and slapped her sharply across the face. No. Violent woman. Officer, arrest her too for obstructing public duties. As the officers restrained the struggling Jenny, one chuckled and gently reproached me, let's not do that. I'm sorry. But I just had to tell her. What? Everything you lost is because of you, not anyone else's fault. Nothing is coming back to you, and I'll make sure of that. That child will be ours. Don't you dare come near us again. Let's go, everyone. Wayne motioned to my father to leave. All right then. See you later, Emma. I'll be waiting, Dad. Take care. After seeing everyone off, I slumped down right where I was. It's okay, Mom. I'm so tired. It's a good thing we did the shopping today. Absolutely. What a day it had been. And to think, it had only been 6 hours since my mother called. Later, when my father and Wayne returned, they reported that Jenny would be detained by the police for a while. No bail. Absolutely not. While we were having a late dinner, my father said with a strained voice. Since her divorce is already finalized and her ex-husband won't be coming to claim her, we should just let her go to court. Eventually, Jenny did receive a prison sentence. She had inflicted pain on her own family back home, caused the death of one child through her actions, and was now abandoned by the remaining child. My sister would have to face a long, solitary life ahead. Sometime later, my parents brought Amy to live with us. Hey, you look pretty. Startled by Rick's comment, Amy blushed deeply. Where on earth did you learn to say things like that? Dad, stop, it tickles. Stop it. Rick laughed as he played with Wayne. Watching this father and son, not related by blood. Amy looked at us somewhat blankly, still surprised. Is it really okay? Auntie. She hesitated to complete her question about living with us. I had already prepared myself to adopt her, feeling it was the right thing to do. Initially, I thought maybe she could grow up with my parents. However, they felt that back home she might always be seen as that girl's child. My parents planned to move closer to me after retirement. For now, we agreed to travel together during holidays. Amy seemed a bit behind academically, so attending the same school as Rick might be difficult. Still, we could offer her a much better life than she had before. With the source of turmoil gone, now was the time to focus on building a happy life. We have plenty of time to do so.